eat as many eggs as you like. That's my opinion. I mean, when I'm eating eggs, it's normally between 6 to 12 per meal. People always ask me, how many do you do a day on average? Like, I don't know what my average is. Like, maybe I'm out of eggs one day. Maybe I'm traveling. Like, maybe I just want to eat nothing but steak that day. But like today I had 6 for breakfast. I'll probably have 6 to 12 more throughout the day. Yesterday, I think I had like 18. I've done as high as 60 in a day. And like I said, my numbers have always been fine. So I really don't think there's a limit to it. I just think people are scared because of old false data, actually, funded by a cereal industry or whatever, that, eggs are bad for you. Eat cereal instead.
Yeah. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to eat a dozen, 18, some days two dozen. I've never eaten 60. That's a pretty big amount there. Was that just the whole day of nothing but eggs, or was it just kind of interesting you'd eat 60 in one day?
So somebody was like comparing me to Gaston on Twitter and said, "Oh, you should do like the Gaston challenge." And said he ate 5 dozen eggs in a day. So I was like, okay. So I went, bought 5 dozen eggs and ate them by like 3 p.m. or something.
Yeah, I'm certainly you could do it. It's not, that's 60 eggs. It's it's like 60 calories a pop. It's 3,600 calories. It's not that much. I mean, it's not calorically. It's not that much. I mean, so it's certainly doable.
Yeah. I was a pound less on the scale the next day.
Yeah, probably. So I mean, but like I said, I could certainly see doing it. It's just I don't know. I like to eat steak too much to just eat nothing but eggs all day. There's some people that are out there I know there's a guy out there talking about, the eggs are going to give you vitamin A toxicity, and I just think more or less that doesn't seem to hold up. I'm not seeing anybody developing that. I mean, I know a lot of people eat a lot of eggs, and it seems to be. Yeah. Seems to be fine for most people. There are some people that don't tolerate them. And it is quite fair to say that a lot of people have egg sensitivities. That's true.
Yeah.
When you eat, your steaks or your eggs or whatever, are you like making sure it's always grass finished and pastured eggs, or do you care about that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So, I try to get it as reasonably as I can. Grass fed, grass finished, pasture raised eggs. But, sometimes the store is not in stock. Sometimes the prices are just ridiculous. And from my experience and my research, you don't have to be perfect all the time. So a lot of steak I eat will be grain fed. The eggs normally are pasture raised, not 100% of the time. Sometimes it's free range. Sometimes it's just, they had a sale on whatever. It's a grocery store. But I think you have too many people that get a little bit too critical where everything has to be perfect. It's like, listen, if I'm going to, have a meal of grain fed beef and non-pasture raised eggs, that's still healthier than having a bowl of refined pasta and washing it down with a soda, So the aim is to eat grass-fed beef whenever possible and pasture raised eggs whenever possible. But sometimes it's just not reasonable. So.
Yeah. And, my experience, and I've dealt with literally thousands of people. It doesn't seem to make that big of a difference for human health. Now, I can see there's some environmental benefits to doing that, I think, and that type of stuff. But I think, you eat what you got access to, what you enjoy. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because it can get pricey, if you're trying to only eat, certain types, and prices have gone up, even more in recent times, as I'm sure all of us are aware. We got this sort of inflationary thing that's making it a little tight for some people. How do you, I see you, like somebody's asking, how do you cook? How did you prepare the eggs? I know a lot of times you just slonk them, as raw eggs, which I certainly have done plenty of those, but do you have a way you prefer them, or do you just chug them raw a lot of times?
So my favorite way to eat eggs is sunny side up. And, the way I prepare them, because I get asked, multiple times per day, is I'll usually put a little bit of coconut oil on a nonstick pan. And then I'll put on a glass lid. And if I see any areas where the whites aren't cooking like I like, I'll spread them around a little, maybe tilt the pan to get it to move. And then, before they look like they're finished cooking, they're still going to keep cooking after you turn the stove off. I'll take off the lid, turn off the stove, and let them finish from the heat that's already accumulated. Only takes a few minutes. Pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty creative ways to do that. Some people are like folding them into squares, and they're cooking the whites separate and then dropping it. I mean, there's just kind of all these crazy things to do. I probably right now about 80% of what I eat is just raw. I just throw it in a blender and chug it down. I mean, it's just I'm pretty lazy. I mean, honestly, when it comes to cooking, I just do the basics on steak, salt, grill, boom, done. eggs raw, suck them down. It's good. What about, you said you do some 3 days a week, pretty intense training. What does your training preference look like? What are you doing? Are you doing some just compound lifts? Are you doing any kind of high intensity stuff, or what's going on for your training style?
So I prioritize big compound lifts. So squat, bench press, deadlift, overhead press, and barbell rows. Those are the big five that I'm prioritizing around. And then I like to add in some accessories here and there too. You know, like I'll do some dumbbell work, of course, dumbbell bench, dumbbell row, curls. You got to do curls, man. You got to build those arms. French press for the triceps. Some machines here and there. Like been doing a lot of leg extension to develop my quads better. I'll use the leg press, not to actually do leg press, but to do calf press to grow the calves. Some ab work here and there, but mainly it's just the compound list is what I'm focused on, and then I'll focus on other accessories just depending on what I have time for, what I'm really trying to develop and focus on.
Are you doing any cardiovascular conditioning at all? Any kind of like HIIT style sprinting or walk, maybe walking? I guess you probably walk a lot, I would imagine, around New York. But I mean, do you focus on? I mean, you're probably not spending an hour on the treadmill, I'm imagining.
I hate running. So I just walk. I walk all around the city. I push my son in his stroller all around, like take random walks sometime. Yeah, maybe my health would improve a little bit by doing some more high intensity cardio. But I do think the style that I lift, my heart rate's getting up. And if I were to go run a mile right now, I could probably beat most people anyways. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had to run like a mile and a half or something. Went and knocked it out easy, no problem. Used to do a lot of cardio on the stationary bike when I was cutting, and I realized, you know what, I'd rather just cut my calories because I don't like cardio. So just lots of walking and high intensity lifting.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I got dogs. Dogs are a great exercise device. I think if you got a dog, take them for a walk. What about? I mean, are you doing? I mean, because you talk about, can you get a cardiovascular workout weightlifting? You throw a decent amount of weight on the bar and you squat it for 20 reps, you guarantee your heart rate's up there. Are you doing some like high rep stuff as well?
Yeah. So I have my heavier low weight days, then I'll have my higher rep days where I'll put like 3 plates on the bar and then do 3 sets of 10, maybe a burnout set, put 225 pounds and do like 20 reps of it or something like that. Heavy Bulgarian split squats with dumbbells, that'll get your heart rate up. 3 sets of 10 with 100 pounds each hand. You're going to be breathing heavy. So, I do have some higher volume type days, which counts as cardio to me. Yeah,
I got this trainer called Mike Boyle that would be he was a big fan of the heavy loaded, unilateral training, particularly split squats. And I definitely do those things as well. You've got very little fiber in your diet. Do you have any problem with bowel movements or anything like that? Is that fine for you?
Everything's fine. I mean, the only times I think there's ever problems with digestion is just if I've eaten such like a massive amount of food that it's going to take my body a while to digest it. But that, really doesn't matter what I'm eating. If I'm going to eat mass quantities of something, it's going to give my body trouble. And I'll have some fiber every now and then when I have vegetables, or maybe I'm running around and need something quick, and all right, I know this place has Quest bars. I don't feel like finding whatever they have healthy. If they don't have salmon, I can just pick up and eat. I'll have one of those that they have some fiber or whatever. But I'm not intentionally trying to hit a certain amount of fiber, and I'm not having problems. So